Good evening and welcome to our live crafting this evening. My name is Jenny McCormack and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire here in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It is Thursday, I have to think about that for a minute, Thursday the 1st of June, so welcome to June, and hopefully a nice portion of some weather would be rather nice. And this week we have been featuring, as I try to do, not every week but most weeks, I pick a stamp set or a product and I use that during the week. And this week it's been the turn of this stamp set called Bird's Eye View. Hopefully you can see that. I'm hoping it doesn't reflect too much in the evening light and the reflection off the lamps. So I have got the lights on because it is quite dull this evening. I'm just going to pop that one on as well. Hopefully it hasn't gone too bright because it does tend to wash things out. I notice if I look back at the videos, the colours are quite different to what they are obviously in real life. So I'm going to add in to the stamp set some new dies and a new stamp set called Countryside Corners, and these have featured in our classes for our class in box this month, and also we have used some elements of the dies during the week. So I'm going to introduce those to you. Let me just quickly show you some of the cards from this week, and you'll know if you followed me for a while that if I end up with a whole stack of cards, then that means this is a really easy stamp set to use. Good evening Jeanette, and good evening I believe Diane. And as you can see I have a whole stack of cards, which is great. So let me just flick through some of those. I thought Danielle might be there, so welcome to you both. So let me just put my glasses on so I can see what you can see. So we have this one here with a line of 3 birds, and that says a little note of thanks, and we've got the music notes here. So these were all created during Coffee and Card this week. We've got the pink background for A Little Bird Told Me It's Your Special Day. Little Bird Told Me, and this is the one on the set of books. And then I did this one yesterday. Hi Carol, thanks for joining us, with the 2 branches, so one coming in, one coming from the left, one from the right. And this die cut here is actually from the Countryside Corners dies that we're going to use this evening, so you'll see those in a little bit more detail. So that one there, there's some spare pieces, and now we have a little note of thanks. This was the one that we created yesterday, and unfortunately the video stopped before the end, before I managed to assemble it together, but you would have got the gist of the card, I'm sure. There's this one that I did early in the week, and there's another one here just waiting for a background with the 2 little birds and a little note of thanks. We've got assorted envelopes, and then this one. This is the one that we did, I want to say Tuesday evening, but it might have been Wednesday morning. I think it was Tuesday, with the stacks of books with some masking and the owl in the middle. And then assorted ones here, so the owl on the stack of books and the books in the background. And then these are the assorted envelopes that go with them. So a very good indicator that it's an easy stamp set to use as to how many cards I end up with just in 4 days. Okay, so we are going to add to our card today. We're actually going to use one of our new colours. This is called Wild Wheat, and I want to introduce the stamp set and the dies to you. Let me just open this up here. So the stamp set is unusually a single stamp, and this stamp has got 6 different layers, and these layers have coordinating dies that can cut out each of these layers in turn. So I'm going to stamp one and show you how you can work these. So you don't have to use the stamp, you can just cut out the layers to create different frames of different sizes. So you could, for example, have the very outside one and one that's 2 or 3 in to have a deeper frame. So there's all sorts of combinations you can do with this. Let me find the dies here. So there are 7 dies in total. If I just pop that one down, I do apologise if it reflects. I'll try and turn it around a little bit. So when you've stamped this, what you can then do is use the dies to cut out any combination. So for example, you could put those 2 together, and if you use the stamp you would have the dots, the 3 dashes and the single dash all on the border, or you could just use those frames on their own. But each of these frames cuts out a different layer of that stamp. So I appreciate you can't see that detail in there. I will stamp it so that you can see it. Right the way down to this one here, and then there is a tiny little one that goes in the middle, and that's almost too small for sentiment. I'm sure there is something that would fit on there, and there's another one. So let me just stamp it so that you can see. And this is one of those stamp sets and dies that I think is that would easily be overlooked. So I'm just going to pop a piece of card, and this card happens to be the size that I would put on the front of a standard size A6 card. Just going to take my stamp off from here, and I haven't cleaned it, but I'm hoping it'll be okay, and I'm just going to position it roughly in the middle of here, like so. I think that's roughly straight. So let's just move this away from the camera. So I've just picked that up, and I'm using the Stamparatus only because it's a big stamp and I don't like to handle a big block. Let's ink this up, and I'm using another new colour, Copper Clay, which goes particularly nicely, I think, with the Wild Wheat. It is literally a clay colour. If you imagine the clay you used to use to make pots and things, it's exactly that. So it'd be good for terracotta pots and things like that. So I'm just going to ink that up so that you can see the full stamped image. Okay, and I'm just going to press that down. Now if you haven't got a Stamparatus or a stamp positioning tool, you could just use a big block and position that. Okay, didn't press down quite hard enough on that edge. Okay, so put that to one side, try not to drop it in my bin. So these are the layers that you can see are stamped. Hopefully you can see those. And each one of those is different. So we have dots, we have dashes, longer dashes, we've got little flowers, small dots, and then little sort of sets of leaves, and then a gap in the middle, and you can literally just place these and cut them out. And what you can do is literally put all of them down, okay, like so. Now if I did that, I would use a piece of post-it note tape or some washi tape or something to hold it in place as it goes through the machine. Now what I would say is I like to be kind to my machine, and it's a lot to ask it to go over all of that in one go. So what I would probably do is do it in phases. So I might cut that one and that one together, and then when I've got that border I would put it back through with that one, and that would give me individual lines rather than putting all of them in at the same time. Just really to be kind to your machine, because you're putting it under a lot of strain with those amount of dies in one go. And then that you could use in lots of different ways. So what I've done is I've got this piece here, so just to show you, you could use this as a frame in its own right on a card. We've then got this layer here that I've cut out, and then I've left those in for the minute. So if I was keeping these to one side to use at a future date, then I would leave the pieces fairly whole if I could. Hi Brenda, hi Baz, thanks for joining us, and Carol, I think I said hi Carol. Because if you cut all of these out, you've got these quite thin layers and they're more likely to get damaged, and you might end up just binning them. So if it was me, what I would do is just cut out the layer that I want and then pop these into a cellophane bag or a little plastic pocket, and then just cut them when I'm ready. But that would make a really nice frame for a photograph, and you could pick out the colours of the card to pick out one or two colours of the photograph if you wished. So that's the Countryside Inn stamp set and the dies. The stamp is £22 and the dies are 27. So if you're not worried about having this stitching and you just want lots of different shapes like this that go down in different sizes, you can just buy the dies on their own, but you can of course buy them both together at a discounted price of £44, which is a 10% discount off both the stamps and the dies, which is just under £5 saving. Right, let's crack on and actually get some crafting done. So for my card this evening, I'm going to use the frames and the owls. So I've got a piece of thick white card that I've cut in the other direction, so in landscape. I've cut this at 10.5, which is half an A4 card, and I've scored it at 14.85 to give me a landscape card. I've then chosen some of our in colour designer paper, and I haven't decided which one I'm going to use. It's either going to be this one or it's going to be the stripes, possibly the dots. I think I might be a little bit too busy, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to be the hearts. I really want a darker background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this frame, and I've cut out a white piece which is the same size. So I've cut it out with the same size die, and I'm going to stamp my little image on here and possibly fussy cut the owl to put on the top, and then that's all going to be layered up onto whichever piece of paper we choose. Now the idea for this actually came from the catalogue, so it's cased directly from the catalogue. So let's get cracking. So I'm going to stamp onto this piece, and you could either cut out one that's the same piece, or you could cut the piece that is smaller and fit it back in. I prefer to use the larger piece. You can always trim any excess off if you don't put it on straight, but it's better than having a little bit of a gap. If you don't quite fit it properly, you can end up with a little gap, and I didn't want that, so I've chosen the same size of card. Alright, let's get the stamp set, do a quick bit of stamping. So I hope everybody's had a good day. Can't believe it's 1st of June already, and we do have some special offers on this month, which I mentioned briefly yesterday, and that is our designer paper sale, 15% off nearly all of our designer papers. The only exception, funnily enough, is the packs like I have used this evening, which are our in colour and our colour collection packs. But all of the other ones and all of those that feature in my paper share are all 15% off. So I am doing a special paper share price just for the month of June. Okay, so now what I need to be mindful of is that I'm going to have this frame cutting down some of the area that I'm playing with. So what I don't want to do, for example, is have my branch too low that it actually comes off the bottom. Okay, so I just need to be aware of that, and what I might do is just use a pencil line, assuming I can see my pencil, this one here. Take my glasses off, and just going to do a very light pencil line here and here, just so that I know, and I appreciate you may only just see that, just so I know that when I'm stamping that bit is basically not going to be seen anywhere. So I'm going to use copper clay and do my stamping with that just for a change. Okay, glasses off again. So using that as a guideline, I'm going to have this a little way up. Like so. And then I can add my leaves on the edge. I can find them. Just do that. Like so. Whoops, Daisy, that was a little bit inked up, wasn't it? I think I'd better clean that off. Oh, that's asking for trouble. And that's because I actually used too big a block, really. Okay, let's try that again. Like so. Now I know these are going to go underneath, like so, but I'm okay with that, I'm happy with that. Okay, let's have our owls on here. So I think what I'm going to do is have one on here and one that I cut out and put on top. So it's going to be fussy cutting because there's no dies for these, and I'm just working out which ones I'm going to use, that's all. So I could have this one here, and then this one die cut. Oops, I could actually have him on the bottom there, and this one a little bit further up. Okay, let's go for that. So I'm going to stamp this one on and then stamp and die and fussy cut the other one. Just knock my glasses to the floor. That's not a good idea. Okay. So I've got the little one on here, and I'm just going to use the same colour. So we've got a new stamp set for tomorrow. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. Let's just wipe my wand. Okay, and then I'll just use this piece as it's to hand. Stamp this chappy. Okay, these are going to be fussy cut and popped on there. Okay, so let's just we're going to do a quick bit of colouring. Actually, I could have used wild wheat rather than the copper clay on there, but I did want to pick up the colour that I've used in my frame here, so it sort of ties it all together. So let me grab looking for the pens, which are right next to me. Grab some granny apple green for our leaves. Although I've got a mixture here, granny apple green and lemon lime twist. So just going to do this quickly because you see me colour these in quite a few times during the week, and if you haven't, you can catch those on replay anyway. There we go. And I'll just add a little bit of brown, maybe just crumb cake or something for the branch. This is dark crumb cake. So, oops. Let's find another one. Right. And I've got a new and an old light crumb cake. This is the old one, but it will do the job. There we go. So I'm not doing a great deal of detail for this, only because it's just the overall image we want to look at. Let's just add some colour into our two birds. So I hope you've had a good day. I've had a busy day. Just got the last of my class in a box to get sent out. I've done all the instructions and everything. It's all up online. Just need to finish the last of the die cutting, and it always takes me longer than I remember even though I allow 3 days for all the die cutting, it always takes me longer. Okay, let's look at this. I really want my wild wheat colour. The problem is, because I had everything ready for coffee and card, I've got it in a few different places and I haven't yet unpacked from all my coffee and card sessions. Okay. So just going over the edge where I've got the dark and the light. So let's bring it up to the screen a little bit more. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, let's see what I've got. I've got a bit of lemon lolly to hand, so I might just use that. For their tummies, like so. Ah, there's my wild wheat. It was there all along, of course. Just bringing that in a little bit. Go. There we are. That will do for the time being, because I've done enough colouring of these that you can watch in the week. Okay, so there's a little bit of pumpkin pie there for the beak. So this is going to go onto here, like so, our frame. And then I'm going to cut this one out and pop him or her down there. Let's grab some scissors. And this is quite an easy design to fussy cut. You can either cut just around the edge or just on the edge. It's really up to you. Depends on whether you like a white edge or not. But nice easy shape. The little legs a little bit more fiddly. There we go. So I think these birds would make great Father's Day cards or male themed cards. And of course it's coming up to that time in June. Oh, this month indeed. Okay. Just sneaking round here. You know me, I'm not a big fan of a lot of fussy cutting, but small amounts is okay. There we are. Okay. that will do for the moment. Alright, so you can either stand on the branch or be standing down here, and we'll pop a sentiment up on the top. That's my plan. And so we've just got to decide what layer we want behind. So there's our choice. So we've got the dots, which actually look quite fun, don't they? This one reminded me a bit of, you know, the little legs of the birds and little footprints. Brenda says stand on the branch. Oh, what, and the sentiment underneath. Could do. And then the other pattern is that one. So let me know. So dots, stripes, or dashes, we'll call them. Those are the dashes. I think the stripes look a bit big, so I would go with the dots. Or the dashes. There we go. Now I could also stamp the leaves and cut those out and have those going over the edge, and I think that's what they did in the catalogue. Thanks, Jeanette. Have a great weekend yourself, my darling. So, dashes are lovely, dots look good. Dashes, 2 dashes and 2 dots. I guess this has got more white in it. That's the thing, isn't it? Let's look at it on here. Maybe that will make us help us make a decision. Diane says the dashes. I think the dashes might win. Just we've got a more sort, and it's almost like a sort of the marks on a branch, isn't it? Okay, dashes wins, folks. So let's pop that layer on. Just find some glue, scribble that over the back. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to rub out my little pencil lines, assuming I can see my rubber to hand. I need to put my glasses on to find them. So I should have a rubber in my first aid kit. Yep, so as well as plasters for humans, I have post-it notes of adhesive remover and an ink remover. So it's first aid kit for all occasions. I carry that in my coffee and card bag. So just rubbing that line out just so it's not showing. Like so. And then actually the dashes matches that quite nicely, doesn't it? So you could stack this up as well. You could cut 3 or 4 of these and have them stacked up like quite a thick border, and that would give you more of a picture frame look. I'm just going to pop that on as is, only because of the time, really. And I like to use the wet glue for this, so that you've got an opportunity to just maneuver this into position. And you just want to be gentle with it. Don't push it down until you've got it in the position that you're happy with. Okay, and then I've either got him up here and a sentiment underneath, or him on there and a sentiment at the top. So, suggestions please. And I do have some of the ribbon, so I could have threaded the ribbon around or put the ribbon behind here and tie a bow on the right hand side if you wanted it to coordinate completely. Let's see if I got it to hand. I don't think I have. No, it's in my pack with all the In Colour Club, unfortunately. Let's find a sentiment. So, what I'm going to do is a sentiment I considered the other day, which is "A little bird told me," and then inside, "Everything will be okay," which I thought was a nice combination. So, a little bird told me. So I just need to know, is my little bird going on the bottom or on the branch? And that underneath. I have to wait for you to decide that, because that's where I'm going to stamp my sentiment, one way or the other. Let's get copper clay ready. I could stamp the inside ready that says "Everything will be okay." Yeah, just thought it was a nice combination. Little bird told me everything will be okay. There we go. Okay, thank you, Diane. Enjoy your walk. It's quite pleasant out there, but you might need an extra layer on. Okay. So this says "Everything will be okay." Glasses are off. There's our sentiment on the inside, and that's from Charming Sentiments. So I just need your final say on this. What might look quite nice would be the next layer up in copper clay, if I wanted to, so that you had the tie-in of the colours. I think I'm actually going to put him down at the bottom, because if he was on the branch I could have stamped on the branch like I've done with this one here. So I stamped them actually on the branch. So I think I'm going to pop this one down here. So sorry Brenda, let's pop this sentiment up at the top in copper clay again. Pop the layer on and we're done. There we go. Okay. I'm going to pop this little bird up on dimensionals, and also put the panel up on dimensionals as well. and the card is finished. So it's gone on a bit longer than I thought. I think that's because I was prevaricating a little bit. Well, the sentiment would have fitted underneath, I think. But I just wanted something slightly different to the others. So thank you. Right, that's that one finished. Let's grab another one. So I think these dies are really, really useful. To be honest, any of the nested layers are good. So whether that's the stylish shapes where you've got 3 different shapes, or the nested rectangles with the decal edge, any of those are really useful. Okay, so I'm going to work out roughly where that should go, hopefully, like so. And let's pop this on there. Not my best colouring, but it wasn't a colouring tutorial. It was just to show you the new dies and Stamped Up. Okay, I might put, do I need to put, no, I was going to say I might put a little bit of linen thread on, but I'm going to leave it as that. I might add it later. So there we go. I hope you like the design. Get that hopefully centered. So that's the last in our stamp set of the week. So remember, if you do buy our stamp set of the week, then you get all the components for each of my Facebook lives, so that you can recreate these when you get home. You don't get any stamped elements, but you'll get the die cuts, you'll get the pieces of designer paper, and obviously the cardstock and envelopes. And that's if you order the stamp set of the week during the week that I'm demonstrating it, any time up to and including the Sunday. Thank you, Carol. So thank you everybody for joining me this evening. If you have been watching on catch up or replay and have any queries, here's a couple more, then don't hesitate to pop those in the comments section, and I will get back to you with any answers if they are required. And I look forward to crafting with you again really soon. So I'm not here tomorrow, or at least I'm not planning to be here tomorrow, who knows. But I will be back on Monday morning at 10 AM for our new stamp set of the week. And I hope you have a great weekend. Obviously we had a bank holiday weekend just gone, end of May. So we're back to a level of normality for this weekend. So thanks for joining me. Do take care. Look after yourselves and your loved ones. And I look forward to catching up with you really soon. Bye for now. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.